What's up, guys? Maddie here. Welcome to We Came from the Future podcast, where we interview people in the NFT space, in the whatever they're building, projects, artists, creators, investors, people that are making moves in this space. So I've got a really cool guest today. It's Akash from the Genies team. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing well, and we've seen Genies make an appearance on Nifty Gateway, and they're going to be much bigger than that. So we're going to get Akash to explain a lot about the project, what's in store for us, and pretty much all the cool stuff that's happening. So Akash, do you want to stay? You want to start with how you got started in the space and the story behind, not behind Genies, but before that? How did you get started?
Before Genies.
Before Genies.
Wow, that's a loaded question. I mean, I was born and then I came into this world. No, so I've been building social apps and different types of communication since I've been around 14 years old. I grew up in the Bay Area. All of them sucked. I build an app, spend the entire summer building it. And then the next year I would announce it, and my sister, my mom, my dad would be the only people that would download it. And then after a while, they would even delete it, whatever. So was learning really early on, built around like 15 failed apps. Went to University of Michigan, studied computer science and business, kept building with two of my buddies that went to Penn. All of those apps kept sucking every single summer that we would release at least one or two of them. And finally, this is around like maybe 6 years ago now. Damn. 6 years ago, my senior year in college, 8 credits away from graduating, one of the apps started blowing up.
Nice.
And we decided to pursue it and drop out. So we dropped out of college, moved back to the Bay Area, got kicked out of all of our parents' houses, and moved into a small room attached to a mosque in San Jose for like $400 a month. Kept building out of there. It was called Blend, was the app in the company, and it was a college exclusive social network with a few e-commerce gimmicks here and there.
Mhm.
And we ended up getting an acquisition offer for the company. It was kind of a lowball offer. We sat here, we're like, we want to build the next social wave. We don't want to be locked up for 4 years by the acquirer. Let's go take a shot at something else that we see fueling in the environment. And we were obsessed with that. I mean, we've been in consumer and social app since 2011, so almost a decade. And you get so close to new trends and culture and things of that nature, and you have a pulse on kind of like what's actually happening and how behaviors are ever changing. And something that we saw as a void was this concept of a virtual identity and a second being and an extension of yourself and an alter ego. And that's when we started building in Genies.
Nice. And I feel like that whole like just getting started and building apps and then fail and then build and then fail and then build is just so necessary. And I know like when a lot of people get started, they want to make like a successful app and, it doesn't work out. They're like, oh, we failed at this. Let's just go back to work. It doesn't work like that. It literally, I remember my website, like I used to try and blog and make apps. I did that as well. I did 4 or 5 apps and none of them did anything. But, you learn marketing, you learn a bit of Photoshop, you learn a bit of this and that. And it all just comes together and like 6, 7 years down the track, it all clicks and you're like, shit, now is the time. Like I know everything, exactly what to do here. So enter Genies. How did Genies, what was the concept? And I feel like it's going to be huge. You obviously know it's going to be huge. Like, what's the deal? Like, what's the vision there?
Knock on wood. But like even going back to your last point, I'm glad that we failed a trillion times before this, because then I think you build humility and you know exactly like what actually works and what matters, right? So like I think, yeah, we almost view as like everything that we've done up until this point as training for this moment. It's like, all right, shit, things are clicking. Like we know what to focus on, we know what works, and we know what to avoid.
Mhm.
Genies has been a beautiful, beautiful ride. It's been the one product that, again, knock on wood, has been sticking. It's been when it evolves, it's kind of like to this new plateau, and it keeps moving. And the company is the mission is to become the virtual portable identity across the internet. We think that we were saying this pre-pandemic, every single human on earth is going to express themselves as an avatar. We think that everybody's going to have a virtual being of themselves, and we want to be that go-to virtual identity, right? So December 8th, 2017 was when we made our first debut as Genies, and our first adopters ended up all being celebrities for some
Did you
odd
say
reason. So
2018?
2017,
So,
December
also
8th,
3 years ago.
2017.
Okay.
Was the first time that we made a Genie, that we made it even public. So it was like, I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was like a very like, we were all sitting there, we're like, oh shit, like this is actually pretty cool. We're getting a lot of good feedback on Twitter. We're like, this could actually be something. And our first adopters ended up all being celebrities, like
It's
celebrity, like
amazing.
left and right. And the reason why was because they could leverage it in a way that could showcase a different side of their personality, and do things that the physical self was incapable or unwilling to do in a moment. So whether it was a song release, an album release, international collaboration, announcing like some type of key life defining moment, they would lean on their avatar to do it for them because it could showcase again like an outgoing side of themselves if they were normally an introvert and things of that nature, right? They use it as a fantastical representation of themselves. Over the next like 2.5 years or so, ended up working with 2,000 different celebrities, signed them, and we had 99% celebrity avatar market share. Anytime that somebody was using an avatar, it was more so than not a genie, right? So we really focus on the actual technology itself, the time efficiency of it, the cost efficiency of it, the fidelity of the avatar, and just like 24/7 trying to improve that virtual identity. And people started gravitating towards it and leveraging it in a way that we didn't anticipate. The pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, massive surge in avatars, a digital world, all things, all things virtual beings, ended up, like escalating all the different conversation around talent. And we ended up making a bunch of different really cool signings, which we're going to be announcing here in the next 4 weeks. But we've always kind of been a company where it's like, how can we deliver this to the masses, not just a celebrity driven product? So we came out with our SDK late November. What our SDK does is that it integrates our avatar creator into third-party platforms, allowing those platforms and their user bases to create their own avatar, their own genie avatar within the platform itself, and use it for its own user story. So one of the biggest companies that we announced so far has been Giphy, close to I think 1 billion daily active users. They're going to be rolling out in the next 2.5 weeks or so. It's going to be the first time that you, myself, anybody on the street could go ahead and create their own genie. They can then use it for Giphy and personalized messaging. Shortly after that, we're announcing Gucci. When you're on Gucci, you can use your avatar as a mannequin. And then we have had over 5,000 SDK applicants since, and there's a bunch of big social giants that are in the space. But the goal here is, how can you become a virtual portable identity? I can create my genie in Giphy, use it for one superpower, then take that same genie, log into the next platform, use it for a different use case, and then keep moving around, and it becomes your traveling identity. And all this time, and this is kind of where it comes at a head for crypto, is the flourishing and blossoming economy of digital goods, right? So the ability for Justin Bieber, anytime he activates his genie, to be able to sell digital goods now to his fans who have their own avatars, and everything powered by blockchain, right? So that's kind of where things are moving, and we think that digital goods really is the tie between all of this. And it's really like, I think that's why the NFT space is so interesting, because we view that NFTs are just another form of digital goods. In fact, once our economy is powered by Flow, which we're going to be working with, once it's powered by Flow, each of our digital goods become NFTs themselves, right? So like, they're kind of one and the same, and that's how we've been treating them as of late.
Nice. And I'm assuming NFTs in crypto wasn't on the radar when you first started. And so a
No,
lot of it was like, you build your identity on TikTok, and then how do you port that identity over to social, like Facebook? Would they all have to kind of tap into the same app? And is that
so
how it would be? And then the NFTs would distribute across all of them? How would that work?
exactly. So your collectibles and your NFTs come along with you wherever you go. It's almost like the ultimate like authentication login button, right? The ultimate Snapchat login, the ultimate Facebook login button. You tap on the Genie's login, and then your identity with all of your collectibles and your NFTs come along with you. It's funny, if you actually look at our deck from 2018 and you go to like slide 20 was all on crypto and NFTs and everything around the Genie secondary market. But we kind of put it there as like this, like, all right, if like X, Y, and Z all goes according to plan, in 2025, we can maybe like tackle something like this, right? It's like blue sky potential. Pandemic changed everything for us, and now all of a sudden our 2025 is now. And so now we're able to explore and interact in like a really unique, awesome way, and people are malleable to leveraging their avatars and leveraging a different identity across these platforms. And it is not like weird or strange to be leveraging an avatar. In fact, it's cool. Like it's like the next medium of expression. It's like a new way for Gen Z to be able to communicate with each other. So there's been an awesome, like in a business sense, it's been a really exciting and innovative year, I think, for everybody.
I think you're right about the whole digital representation. I remember my wife and my sister-in-law, who's like 13 years old, showing me her Memoji. And it's just like this custom thing about themselves, and they spend their time kind of customizing it. And it's, yeah, like even if you look at Twitter or crypto Twitter, you got people like putting punks on as their profile pictures, putting like all sort of virtual avatars and all that sort of stuff. And they like to represent themselves at a certain identity. And I know I have a Decentraland kind of DCL avatar, and people are talking about making toys about this stuff, and yeah, like it's so, it becomes like your digital identity, like it really does. You don't get like, I remember some of my friends that I know that I met 2 years ago. They had a name that they only used socially. But then I found out their real name 2 years later, and I didn't call them that real name. I just kept calling them whatever like pseudonym they gave me. So it's just like this virtual acceptance that you know, where we are known differently in the virtual world than we are in the real world.
You know what's funny is that what I've noticed, because you make a really good point, is that people, us as humans, I believe, speak everything into existence, right? So like I think it starts with somebody having an idea. And when somebody has an idea, they have a lot of chatter about an idea. When people chatter about an idea, it inspires somebody to write the idea and they write it into a novel. When people write books and people start reading books, then that turns into the next medium of understanding, which is a movie. And all of a sudden, the movie's showcasing a lot of the different elements of what's been written as an idea. Then people go to the movie, they watch the movie, and they get inspired, and all of a sudden they start building in real life what that movie was showcasing them, right? And so the reason why I say that is because this sounds cliche and kind of you know, just like it's just like almost like a basic thing to say, but Ready Player One is very much, in my opinion, a reality that we're going to assume over the next there's going to be in time some type of concept like that. If you notice how people leverage avatars in Ready Player One, it's not to be a one-to-one representation of who they are in the real world. It's to represent their personality and what they really feel like on the inside and their true self. Whereas in the real world, there's so many different liabilities of almost like showcasing who you are, and it's like really difficult to be 100% vulnerable. Whereas when you're really in an avatar, you can be 100% vulnerable. You can talk about things that you wouldn't be able to say in the real world. You can say things, and it becomes, you know, you start to care about your online reputation and your identity more in that sense, right? So you know, the internet was initially created as a safe place for you to be able to go and express all of your thoughts, right? And just be like super like AOL. Like I would get on there and like, you know, I was at school that day and I was like too timid or too shy to like talk to a girl. As soon as I was on AOL, I was
Dude.
every single girl I thought I could.
MSN,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, what's up? What's up? I became the chattiest person in the world. And so it's easier to do that behind a keyboard. It's easier to showcase your true insides and your personality. So Instagram, I think, social media has gotten a little bit away from that. Not away like in there being intentional that way, but can you imagine being like a 15-year-old right now in like high school and the cyberbullying and like, you know, Instagram makes you try to become 2 notches above who you are in the real world. In fact, it's going the complete opposite direction. So we think that avatars are going to swing the pendulum back and allow you to therapeutically take care of yourself and interact with others. And, you know, it's like mental health is a common trend that's being discussed right now. And I think Gen Z is more aware of accumulating proper mental health than any other generation so far.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Like, I remember MSN and all that allowed us to be anons and happy anons, you know, talking to each other. You know, we could talk to anyone in the world. They're anon, and you make good friends with them. Like a year or two later, you don't know who they are. You never seen their face, but you connect. And you know, it's interesting
100%.
to think. I never thought about like social media. Like, by the way, I'm not looking at the camera because the camera's over there and my main camera's not working. So sorry for everyone looking at the side of my head. We can look at Akash's pretty face. But yeah, man, like it's a really far out concept. And if you look at the underlying behaviors, it totally makes sense to have a genie or an avatar or some sort of virtual representation. And Ready Player One is so cool because you can go there and maybe you're shy in real life, but you can go there and be whoever you want and not really be judged because it's not yourself. It's not tied to who you are, at least at the start before you're famous. Like no one knows where you live, and you know you can be maybe whoever you want to be, and that could really bring out a side that you never knew even existed, and can be therapeutic. And yeah, so much to it.
It's freedom for your thoughts. It's freedom for your expression. It's freedom for your feelings. It's the freedom to be who you really are, right? And so that's kind of like, I think and that's what really drives us. Like, you know, truthfully, like I suffer from anxiety and depression. Like this is something that for sure resonates with me because when I'm like behind and represented as an avatar and I'm able to communicate with others, all of a sudden I'm therapeutically dealing with some of the feelings and some of the anxiety and depressive feelings that I have in the real world that I'm not able to deal with in the real world because it's intimidating. It's a crazy place, and it's also just is claustrophobic and you're just not able to be vulnerable. That's what's beautiful about the internet.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man. And I think a lot of us, after watching Ready Player One, we were like, shit, this really needs to come into existence. Like, this is the coolest concept ever. And
Thank fucking God, yeah.
yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. I feel like we're out 10 years maybe away as soon as VR becomes like a mainstream thing, and we're already, the infrastructure's there. It just needs to be fine-tuned and stabilized and iterated on. And I think, yeah, we're like 5, 10 years away from something really epic like that.
Look, I think people have been talking about the metaverse here for the pandemic has been like a really common topic. And we talk about the metaverse, right? And we talk about Ready Player One. I don't even know if I like obsess as much about the environment as I obsess about the actual behaviors of the environment, right? So like being able to be your own self and so forth. And like what I've deduced is that, we talk about the metaverse as this new space. And I kind of feel like we should be talking about the metaverse as a mindset, right? So it's like less about the space, more about like where are you consumed in life? Do you care more about your physical reputation or do you care more about your online reputation? You could argue that right now we're already in metaverse 1.0
Hmm.
because you're so consumed with how you are on Instagram, what you're like on Twitter, what you're like on Facebook, what you're like in Decentraland, wherever. And if that's the case and you care about those mechanics, you were already there, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I think the new environments will be unlocking and I think exposing some of that potential, but we're already quite far along for sure.
Yeah, no, no, I agree with you, man. Like I'm plugged in like 12 hours a day on my phone. I think a lot of us are, and you can argue that's the metaverse. That's the start of just being in there. Like your mind is in there. You're physically here, but your whole mental brain power is being used on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's roll this back, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Genies product and like Nifty Gateway. You did a drop, and we all have like Mesut Ozil boots and clothings, and not many people know who that is. Many people know who that is. So like, what's the play there? Like for us that have that, like, can we cash it in for a wearable that Mesut Ozil does one day, or how would that kind of integrate to the overall Genies platform? Because I think it's a lot more than just the visuals, right?
Yeah. So like people right now, like what the way that we view the Genie Moments is really like the Pokemon of culture, right? Like we right now represent and work with the top tier celebrities in the world, and they already have been over the past couple of years utilizing their Genie to memorialize key life defining moments, right? So whether it's an album release, Shawn Mendes today, he announced his new philanthropic foundation that's close to his heart. And those are big moments. And so you can own those just like owning like a LeBron rookie card. You can own that for the rest of your life and be able to refer back to that and be like, do you remember when like, Sean announced this song and like, I was there at that moment and so forth, right? Now, past just the actual moment NFT itself is the equivalent wearable that comes along with it that you can now use in your own Genie avatar wherever you go. So in this Mesut Ozil drop, top 10 international soccer star, right? He announced his transfer from Arsenal to Turkey. Is a really key life defining moment. Just like any celebrity, when they use their Genie, they announce it on their socials. But this time, he memorialized the moment by selling digital goods slash Genie Moments to the NFT space. And when he did that, people were able to buy those moments and then unlock an equivalent digital good wearable for their own avatar that they can use in all different types of platforms, right?
Mm.
So every single week now, we're going to be releasing some type of Genie moment. There's going to be digital goods that are sold alongside with it. And over time, you're going to get more and more utility with those avatars. Well,
Nice. No, it's really interesting, and the NFT concept totally makes sense to us. So when you say, they'll be kind of freezing that moment in time and selling it as an NFT, or at least you can acquire an NFT that represents it as a wearable. Like it totally makes sense because we're all coming from that sort of a background, whether CryptoVoxels and Decentraland. Like a lot of us have had that experience where I remember the first Decentraland launch day, 20th of February, they sold, or you could find these t-shirts that said Decentraland 22nd, 2020, yeah, 2020, right? And everyone was trying to find them, and they were selling it initially for like $5, but now they're like one of the most expensive common items just because they represent that time when it was the first time that we all ran in there and did stuff.
it's nostalgia, like
Mhm.
the thing is NFTs, they just like the philosophy around how we view digital goods and owning that cultural moment and being able to represent it to all of your friends and family is exactly kind of like the way that we feel about the NFT space in general. I think what the NFT space is missing right now, right? And it's like when more and more people are adopting it and it's becoming this hot space. And I was even on a Clubhouse last night and people were talking about like, how many people are in there and so forth. And I'm just looking at the Clubhouse. I was like, I don't see any 14, 15, or 16-year-olds in here yet, you know? And
True.
like I'm sitting there like, how do we get it mass? Because it's such a beautiful, outside of just like the collective mentality of flipping it, which of course that's part of it, but like just the inherent nature of being able to collect moments and collect goods that are relevant to you is a beautiful thing. And as we accelerate more into the digital world, that becomes even more important. Like I look back at home and I have above my bed, um 49ers, like the Niners. I have the 49ers ticket to the NFC Championship game in 2011 pinned right above my bed. Why? Because that just reminds me of a beautiful moment in time in that exact place, and I like to show it off to everybody. Now in the NFT space, there's not that, like, for a 14 or 15 or 16-year-old fan, let's say a Shawn Mendes that would come in here and buy one of these NFTs, there's no place easily for them, at least right now, in our opinion, for them to be able to get the NFT and then be able to show it off to all their friends. We view the avatar being able to unlock that digital good
Hmm.
as a vehicle to be able to show off some of these NFTs and these beautiful moments in time as well, right? And that's almost their vehicle and their identity across the
Hmm.
internet, and the ability to be able to properly and prominently be able to showcase some of these moments. And so that's why, like we announced our partnership today with OpenSea. OpenSea is an awesome platform. I talked to all the different types of marketplaces over the weekend. Became very passionate about OpenSea and their long term sustainable, healthy market from our perspective, and they're completely bought into, I think, this concept and bringing Genies in as the debut drop partner, but then also a consistent driving partner of OpenSea drops, because it properly, in their mind, and I think they share the same vision. It has the potential to bridge the chasm between culture and crypto and teach again most people in the world around the just like true ownership, just the basics of
Hmm. Hmm.
crypto and blockchain through the lens of their idols, and through the lens of an avatar and digital goods, something that they're familiar with in social circles.
That's so important because I remember the other day a friend of mine shared me a TikTok video, and it was some girl kind of explaining the basics of NFTs, and she was saying it's either a collector thing or an artist thing, and she was going through some images and stuff, and I was looking at it, I was like, you know what, it's so much more than that, and we need to unlock that sort of frame of mind, and just even something simple as, hey, you bought the NFT, now it's a wearable. You bought the NFT, it was a wearable, now it's a ticket. So like these sort of concepts, and I think Gen Z will pick it up really quickly because they understand the internet really well. And they don't need to understand blockchain, but they can understand that, hey, this is something that you can move it across different places. And I think the celebrities thing is a really smart idea because everyone's paying attention, and so everyone will figure out the use case once it moves in that direction.
I think it's also like, for us, it's like super organic, right? Like these celebrities have been using their Genie avatars for years now. Their fans and followers have become infatuated and used to seeing these virtual identities and these Genie avatars for them as well. So it doesn't seem like it's random. It's like it's almost like that. They've been asking for their own Genie avatar for a year and a half now. They're finally now getting it. They've been asking for, whenever, like, Sean, like today when I saw Sean post his Genie avatar, people are already commenting, being like, oh my god, I want that vest for my avatar, like I want this. So there's already built-in behavior where they're kind of
Hmm.
requesting, and that's the bet that's what you want to. I learned through the first 30 failed apps that always want to build on demand, right? So like this
Hmm.
is kind of building for demand. And I just think that, this is the way to teach the
Hmm.
masses about it. Like, hearing about blockchain and crypto and even those words are just so intimidating to people outside of the community, that they have to come through a perspective and a lens, not even realizing that they're even doing what they are doing. So we're hoping that the way that we're going about it with the Genies SDK, in tandem with our celebrity selling digital goods to all their avatars in places they already exist. We're not telling you to go and jump into like this new VR world. We're saying, a billion people already use Giphy today. Create a Genie literally inside Giphy, and then use it amongst your friends. Over time, you're going to realize that when you're buying digital goods for your avatar, it's all powered by Flow. And all of a sudden, you're going to be like, oh, well, what's this say? Oh, well, how do I sell and trade this? Okay, like I have to go to the marketplace on desktop, and this is it, whatever. And then slowly, I think the audiences are going to start to coalesce, and they're going to
Mm.
start to see there's premium digital goods that are locked by this, and blah, 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 and so forth. And that's the way, in my opinion, that we can educate the masses in something that's familiar to them.
Oh, that's really cool, man. That's really interesting. That's quite necessary. How's the celebrities been in reception to NFTs? First of all, I didn't even think we would start to. I didn't even think we'd use the term NFTs once we broke out into mainstream. I thought it was just too nerdy. It's really surprising that we're actually using NFTs because my website used to be called NFT Art Pulse, and it's a feed that shows all the sales on art on Nifty Gateway, etc. And then we changed it to Crypto Art Pulse because we were like, nah, NFTs. Surely they're not going to use NFTs. And then everyone's using NFTs. It's just so surprising. So I don't know. How's the celebrities' reception to what NFTs are, what they can do, and like the tech? Are they embracing of it, or like, do they want to see more?
I'm very embracing of it. I would say, we're very, very particular about making sure that the celebrities that we're activating or their genie that they're activating, it's committed to a narrative, right? So it's like the reason why it builds a lot of value over time is because they're not just doing like a one-off. It's like, Shawn is sitting there, Mesut Ozil, we have literally every single week we're announcing a new person. All of these celebrities that we're announcing are sitting there saying, this is my second virtual being that will be used in every single big moment for the rest of my life. And this is like this is a new version of myself on the internet. And it becomes powerful because it's like a new story. It's another story of Shawn Mendes. It's like, and that's really, really cool for, I think, the users and the followers and so forth. I think for Shawn, it's a very natural step into this world. It's like, the NFTs and digital goods is just one aspect of his digital avatar, but it's ability for him to be able to share that cultural moment with all of his fans in a really unique way, right? It's different than just selling like, it's honestly different than selling art. Like this is like a wearable NFT that has utility, and I think the art is awesome, and we kind of view it like from that perspective as well. It's like I think it's just a collection of showcasing who you are. But the way that we think that users will adopt it over time and love it over time is at least in this sense, which you could argue that all of Avatar is art, right? Like you could argue that like your own self is just like an art piece, right? Like it's a master, it's like it's a masterpiece. Like the way that I'm dressed up right now is just an expression of myself, right? This beanie, this hoodie, and so forth. It's an art piece of myself showcasing my personality. So you could argue that avatars are kind of in the same vein.
It's interesting because at the moment, I'm assuming your product plays, everything's wearable and you can kind of show yourself. But the cool thing about NFTs is maybe there'll be virtual clubs one day and maybe there'll be a VIP time when there's only one day, and that special day, this person's going to be presenting and you can only get in if you have this moment's wearable, right? So
Dude,
the NFT space is like a ticket. It's an airdrop. It's a way to, like a fan to connect to a collector. It's just... It's so
mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing. It's like it's the most. I mean, there's a reason why I haven't slept since December, November. It's the most exciting. It's the most exciting phase. I haven't been this excited since 2014. Truthfully, it's so fucking cool, and you can just jump into this space and catch yourself in a rabbit hole and spiraling for a long time, which I have. But yeah, it's been awesome, man.
Cool, man. So we'll end it there. But like, what's next? When's the OpenSea drop? How do we participate?
So tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific, there is the OpenSea drop. We're debuting OpenSea drops with Shawn Mendes' Genie. And then thereafter, you'll start to see Genies on a very consistent basis dropping on OpenSea.
That's crazy. So 12 p.m. Pacific. How many hours from now is that?
How many what?
I was just about to say, how many hours from now is that? But it doesn't matter because by the time I put this podcast up, it'll be something else.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out. It is 8:20 hours from now. 11 and a half hours from now.
Oh, really? So it'll probably be out before this podcast. Oh, well, hope everyone gets one.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for the chat, Akash. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was pretty sick. We learned a lot. We're going to keep doing this. Akash, thanks, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, bro. Catch you later.